Graham Potter was in charge when he was given the gig, I said, I don't think it's going to work. I might be proved wrong. I just thought that I just think a big club like Chelsea, when you've got superstars, you need a big manager who's a superstar. And at the moment, you're 10th in the Premier League. You've lost 8 games, you've won 8, drawn 7.
Yeah.
At the moment, I am being proved correct. Right, but there could be lots of reasons as to why things aren't happening at Chelsea. Tell us what you know.
Well, look, it's not what I know, but I think what's happened almost to the day. So Putin decided on February the 24th, 2022, decided to march into Ukraine, and that moment changed the course of Chelsea's history. So obviously the sanctions came. Less than a month later, Roman was sanctioned. He tried to give the club, if you remember, he tried to give the club to the trustees. You probably don't remember this, right? But he was fearful if the club would be taken off him. Eventually, the club was sold. It was a fire sale. He had to sell the club. The club was going through a stage where the government, because of the sanctions, and no one could work at the club, so I lost the work at the club. Chelsea couldn't.
You mean no one could get paid at the club?
No one could get paid unless you were on a certain contract at the club. So Chelsea couldn't. The hotel shut, club shop shut, the restaurants in and around the ground shut. Couldn't sell drink, couldn't sell tickets. I mean, it was a shocking time, and it really was really worrying and concerning about where the football club was going to go. And of course, once that happened, you were then there was a deadline that how long this had to happen. The club had to be sold by a certain time, and the monies then had to be put into a certain account to ensure that Roman was not going to benefit from the sale of the club. Do you remember all this?
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
And of course, once that happened, the transfer window, Chelsea had no plan. So Bowley's come in. There were 3 or 4 people wanted to buy. Bowley's come in, and because he came in, the club went through late May, early June. That was when the club was handed over to the new owners. And of course, they got to try and get transfers sorted out. Well, it's Christensen left, Rudiger left. They clearly there was problems with Lukaku, and he's come in. Bowley, he's gone right. I need to make sure I get signings in, and he made mistakes. There's no question of that.
What mistakes in the players that came in?
Yeah, because it was rushed. It was rushed.
Who were those mistakes?
Well, I don't think Koulibaly looking back was the greatest decision.
Yeah.
Still, Sterling one. There was a lot of rushed decisions that came in. Eventually, Aubameyang. That was another one that felt we need a striker, and because there was no full planning from this, and then all these players that came in, and there was a number of them that had to be replaced because Rudiger went and Christensen left. All of a sudden, within 2 or 3 days, or less than a week, it felt like, of the transfer window shutting, Aubameyang moving in, Tuchel goes. But I think people forget, actually, the demise, or certainly the way that Chelsea were at the time, the demise of Chelsea was already kind of underway. There were, I think, 8 defeats in 21 games under Tuchel. We got beat away at Southampton after going 1-0 up. We got beat 4-1 away at Leeds under Tuchel. So that things were in decline at that stage. And then Potter gets parachuted in. And
at the time, do you think that was the right appointment?
I would have appointed it. Yeah, I like the appointment.
Okay.
I like the appointment. And of course, he actually started off okay. Tuchel, he done well. He took
Potter, you mean?
Potter. If you remember, he took Chelsea from the bottom of the Champions League group to the top, beating AC Milan home and away. Started off okay, and then injuries hit. So the last game that N'Golo Kante played was the first game, the home game of the season, was against Spurs. He's not had N'Golo Kante. He's had injuries, double figures injuries.
He's not had his wing backs.
He's not had his wing backs. He's had Fofana out. It was like £70 million. And then the World Cup comes, and it feels to me as if we've kind of forgotten that he got parachuted in under what was an absolute cloud of chaos at the club. And on top of that, everything changed. Marina went, Bruce Buck went, Petr Cech went. They decided they're going to move the club in a totally new direction. For whatever reason, Bowley, the way that what he wanted to do with the club and what he's doing with the club, there's a clear plan with what he's doing with this club. We're only, 8 months into this new reign. But they've come in, they want to buy young, they want to keep young players and try and develop and go through with bring a younger manager. That's why Potter's got a 5-year contract. So they come in, They spent all this money in the first window. Some mistakes were made, obviously. And the second window comes around. Clearly, they have this plan of wanting to spread contracts out over a long period to try and to get round financial fair play, spreading over 8-year contracts. So instead of paying over the period of 4 years, they double it. Yeah. Therefore, halving the transfer every single year. Yeah. So how that's done. Potter has been given this squad of players. Everyone's saying he spent 600 million. I kind of feel as though he's been a bit befuddled by it.
Can I ask? Do you think he's involved in what players are coming into the club?
No, I think what's happened. One of the reasons Tuchel left is that he didn't want to get him. He wasn't on board with this plan of bringing in young players to try and to over the next 2 to 3, 4 years build this squad of players between 18 to 24.
But do you think that the board, Todd Bowley or whoever's responsible for that, will sit down with Graeme Potter and Graeme Potter will give him the list of players he wants?
No.
You think that Potter is given the players?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know. I think so.
Okay.
But that's not uncommon.
No, of course it's not.
That's not
why you have
uncommon.
like a director of football.
That's not uncommon. So they have this. So they're bringing in, and it does feel a bit rushed. It does feel, but the reason it's rushed is because it's had to be, certainly in the last window. And I feel for Potter because even though he has made mistakes, and we'll talk about what he needs to change and what he needs to do differently and needs to do better, and there's plenty of those, but there are a lot of reasons why he's found himself in a situation where what's his best team? What's his best 11? What is his best squad?
And formation as well. He doesn't know that yet.
Well, he's starting to go to a 4. 4 is now feels like his preferred choice at the back. Okay, that feels like it. But what's happened is and I'm guilty of it. Chelsea fans, we've become sport for the last 20 years. And under Roman, if it ain't working, out you go, son.
Yeah.
See you later.
Which is an unbelievable blueprint at your club.
And it's worked.
Yeah.
But that model doesn't suit what they've done since they've come in. Bowley and Clear, they've come in and they decided to go, we're going to think long term now. This is a plan. There is a deliberate plan. It may feel a little bit like it's a scattergun approach, but if you think about the DNA of the players they're buying, and they're all very similar, all young, all put on long contracts with Potter as well. Now, that clearly adds pressure to Potter, and I feel that it's okay. Here's a question: what manager wouldn't want £350 million to spend in a window? Not many would say no. There would be some.
No, but it's pressure he doesn't need because he's somehow got to fit all these world-class players, into a team of 11. He can't do it. You're going to leave it. I think the 5 big heads that you left out the weekend all came on as subs.
So that's a double-edged sword now. So do you want your manager to have money to spend in the January transfer window? Most fans go, yes, we want players to come in, right? Most clubs, most managers, not all. Most managers will say yes, but you get some managers who want to work with small squads. Pep's got his squad, right? Arsenal would like another, and they wouldn't say no to a £100 million player. They wouldn't. So, Liverpool wouldn't say no to a couple of hundred. Man United, not many would say no. But the problem you've got with Potter is that he's got this squad of players, and clearly some of them aren't his, that he was parachuted in. The Aubameyang, he's not staying. They tried to get rid of him in January. That was a player that was bought in 3 days before the previous manager left.
So let me ask you, what does he need to do then to save his job? Because however,
I think his job is safe, mate.
Okay, but you say that, right? Let's just say you've got big games coming up. You've got Spurs, you've got Leeds, and you've got Dortmund in the Champions League, right? If you lose those 3 games, so you're out of the Champions League next season.
And also Spurs and Leeds, massive rivals of Chelsea.
Yeah. But if you lose against Dortmund, you are effectively out of the Champions League next season as well, right? Because top 4.
Yes.
It's only a certain amount of time till the fans start turning on the ball.
Yeah, and I think this is what's going to be absolutely crucial here, because Bowley has come in, and they will probably feel. They'll feel culpable as well for the way that Potter's been given get these players into a team now. He spent 600 million, make it work.
That's right.
I've just explained the reasons why it's taken so long and the injuries. I mean, Broja, centre forward that probably would have had an impact this season. Guy done his ACL 2 days before we come back from the World Cup. There's all of this. There's been no stability at Chelsea for the last calendar year. And Potter, but what I'm saying, it's not all Potter's fault.
No, I know, but he is responsible for the 11. He is responsible for the formation. He is responsible for tactics. He is responsible for substitutions. And my question, you've asked me this question millions of times. Would a better manager be getting a better tune out of these players?
Why? Because there's no stability. What? There's no...
But what's your answer to that question? If you put a Klopp or a Pep in charge at the Bridge, do you think you'd still be 10th in the Premier League?
I don't know, and I'll tell you why I don't know the answer to that question is because no one has been... This is unprecedented, what I just explained to you. No club the size of Chelsea has ever been sanctioned, gone through a sale, top to bottom, ripped up. It's basically like Stamford Bridge has stayed there. So these guys have picked up the football club and planted a new club at Stamford Bridge.
But look, for argument's sake, look at my club, Manchester United, right? In turmoil. I've had to sit next to you for years and years. You've taken the mickey out of Ed Woody Wood, whatever you used to
he's been dreadful.
Right? But when Erik Ten Hag came in, right, first game of the season or second game, we lost against Brentford 4-0. We got actually beginning of the season was through. But because he's a very, very good manager, he's already turned things around, right? People are talking about the quadruple. It won't happen. But there's talk, and that tells you there's a conversation to be had about how excited United fans are about him. If Graham Potter was the manager that could turn things around with the same group of players, you wouldn't be 10th.
I don't. But see, it's almost like you haven't listened to what I've just said. The coaching
I know, but
staff.
He's still got those players.
No, but when Ten Hag had a pre-season, Ten Hag had the first transfer window. Ten Hag had a say. Ten Hag didn't have, the injuries. If you go through the list of injuries that he had to deal with, in double figures, players that could have started. I feel sorry for Potter. I'm not making excuses because he's made mistakes. Here's what he's got to do, right? You won't ask me what he's got to do now, right? Here's what he's got to do. Work out your best formation and your best team and stick to it. Because you're not doing that enough. He changes formation sometimes in the same half 3 times. Yeah. Get your best team, get your best formation, be brave and stick to it. And also, it wouldn't help if some of the players score goals as well when they get the chance.
Yeah, that would help. Well summed up.
Well, there's a lot wrong. Some of it down to Potter, some of it completely out of his control.
Last question.
Yep.
Do you think you stay up?
Yep.
I knew
that was so.